Hello and welcome to my channel, Kuromos here. Today I am bringing you an arcane trickster multiclassed into Warlock, specialized in fighting in magical darkness. This will be a stealthy character with strong sneak attack and dual wield. If you want to blind enemies in a cloud of dark smoke and deceive them with your stealth and magic, this build might interest you. To get the feel of this build early on, we will prioritize our Warlock levels. Also, we want to have strong constitution saving throws, since we will rely on casting darkness ourselves. So we will have a single level in fighter. This way we can access the two-weapon fighting style, granting us excellent damage for the early game and access to all armors, although we will wear cloth armor for this build later on. After this, we will have 4 more levels in Warlock. This way we get access to level 2 spells and we can start casting darkness as soon as character level 4. Enemies inside the darkness will become blind, so we will attack them with advantage. Meanwhile, ourselves will be immune thanks to Devilish Sight. These 2 level 2 spells will refresh on a short rest, so we can stay competitive most of our combat encounters. After this, we will focus the rest of the build as an arcane trickster. A single level will award us with a 1d6 of sneak attack that will improve by 1d6 every 2 levels after this one. On top of that, from level 3, we get access to level 1 wizard spells, so we get some defensive magic to support us, like shield. Thanks to our high constitution and armor of Agarthy's spell, we'll have high hit points pool to sustain damage, and we are hard to hit since enemies will attack us with disadvantage most of the time. Kindly read the description of this video to understand my thought process and some considerations for these guides. Also, click the button down below to support my content. Without delay, let's begin. So we will start our journey as a fighter. We are going to get access to second wind to heal ourselves and to weapon fighting. I think this is a great choice because first we get sustained damage with our offhand weapon, and second we get proficiency in our constitution saving throws. This is vital to keep concentration of the darkness spell. For the rest of the ability points we focus on dexterity since we will use it for our dual wield, and charisma for our eldritch blast and casting. While the arcane trickster will utilize intelligence for casting, we do not need to focus on intelligence since we will pick spells later on that do not require an attack roll or a saving throw. So after fighter we'll go with Warlock and we will choose the Great Old One. This gives us access to Mortal Reminder, and since most of the time we are going to be attacking with advantage, it is very likely that we score a critical hit. The reason for going Warlock before Rogue is so we can get access to the Darkness spell as soon as possible. If you go Rogue first and advance to the Arcane Trickster class, you will need to reach level 7 to get access to the Darkness spell. For our Eldritch invocations, Devil's Sight is a must for this build. We can go Agonizing Blast if we are planning to utilize Eldritch Blast often, but you can choose one with Shadows if you want an extra skill to get into stealth. On our next level, Warlock level 3, we finally get access to darkness, so we can start casting it twice per short rest. For our Pact Boo, we are going for Pact of the Chain. With this way we can summon a small Quasit that will cast Frightened on enemies and can also go invisible. From invisibility we can position the Quasit next to an enemy, attack it, and then we can act immediately ourselves to trigger a sneak attack for free. Here you can go for Misty Step, you can go for Hold Person if you want to abuse the automatic critical hits, but I decided to go with Shatter so we have a little bit of variety. Also consider that Hold Person is a concentration spell and we want to have on concentration the Darkness spell most of the time. At character level 5 we will get our 4th level in Warlock. We get to choose another spell and then the ability improvement Dexterity to improve our melee fighting capability. Now that the foundation of our character is finished, we are going to move into Rogue, and we're going to stay on this class until the end of the build. We get to choose some expertise and proficiency in some skills and sneak attack. At rogue level 2 we get our cunning actions. Hide, dash and disengage will now consume a bonus action instead of a regular one. On the next level we get to choose our subclass, and it's going to be arcane trickster. This will also give us an improved version of the cantrip mage hand, so after we cast it, it will be invisible, which provides with a lot of utility. Since we do not have any intelligence, we need to choose spells like shield, mage armor, etc. All buffs that do not require an attack roll or a saving throw from an enemy. For our second and last feat, we can also go for ability improvement dexterity, but to change it a little bit I decided to go with lucky. This will give us 3 rerolls per long rest, so it can provide some utility in a specific roll or saving throw. Must say it doesn't look that good on paper, but when you try it, it really feels good, I must admit. At rogue level 5 we get uncanny dodge, and each level we get to replace one of the not so good spells with the expanded list to get the more interesting spells, a much better benefit. On our next level, at rogue level 6, we get to choose 2 skills and gain expertise on them. And finally, to close up the build, we will get to level 7 in rogue. Evasion will dramatically increase our dexterity saving throws, and we get to choose a single level 2 spell. So mirror image is a good choice here, since it will last for 10 turns and it will not interrupt concentration. So our sneak attack dice will end up as 4d6, which is actually a very good damage. I am aware you can do a lot of variations for this build. For example, you can take the 5th level in Warlock and improve your charisma, and perhaps you can choose Pact of the Blade to bind your weapon, and then you have a +4 in your main hand and a +3 in your offhand, and then you get a second attack. Or you can get a 2nd level in Fighter, so you get the action surge. So there are a lot of choices for you to make if you wish so. Now that we are ready with the build, a little bit of action to see how this build works. As usual, kind reminder, these are the items that I use for the showcase. It's not really a recommendation, it's not to showcase overpowered items. My goal with this setup is to showcase the build so you can see how it works. And I tried that all the builds work well regardless if you have found all the items or not, focusing mostly on skills, the strategy and the combos that you can make. With that out of the way, now we can focus on the gameplay. We are using cloth armor, so we have already casted mage armor, and we also use a slot to cast armor of Agarthis to get some extra hit points before the fight. And the second slot we are going to use it to cast darkness. First I want to position the Quasit and cast a scare to prevent this enemy from moving. And then I have guaranteed sneak attack against this particular enemy. But anyway, I decide to cast darkness, so I'm well protected. So basically all enemies are blind inside this area except us, that we are immune. So they will attack us with disadvantage and we attack them with advantage, triggering reliably the sneak attack every turn. Also, my preference for dual wield is it will allow me to cast darkness and on the same turn trigger the sneak attack with my offhand attack. I must admit I was quite satisfied with the result of this build, because considering you're mainly a rogue character, you're quite resilient. When you're inside the darkness, and if you add up the decent armor class that we have and we add on top of that the shield spell, we are very difficult to kill and we can deal some very decent damage every turn. And as long as the darkness is up, we can move freely in and out and cast Eldritch Blast at different targets, so it is easy for us to spread the damage against different targets. Here, as you can see, critical hits coming out very often because we are rolling twice on each attack. Something to consider that I did not mention before, but it was shown in the footage. I'm using a piece of cloth that will give us advantage on concentration saving throws. There is also a piece of armor that gives advantage on concentration saving throws very early in the game, so you can equip that and not be too concerned about getting your darkness interrupted. Let me know in the comments if you like this build and what do you think. I'm always happy to read your comments and I try to reply all of you as soon as I can. And if you need assistance with your build or you want my advice, I can try to give it to you as well.
Have to keep going. for careful footwork.
As usual, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one. Adios.